Want to get good? Hi, I'm BulletL from Team Sadaraku, and today I'll show you how to style on players with movement. I'm going to go through some of the various movement techniques, starting from the absolute basics all the way up to some of the most advanced movement techniques in the game right now. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have enough movement techniques in your arsenal to be able to style on people and hit some amazing clips. Let's get into it. In my opinion, the movement mechanics in Apex Legends are some of the best and most fun features that are part of the game. Alright, so we're starting off with the most basic of basic movement mechanics within the game. We are going to go over the crouch slide. So all you're going to do is sprint till you hit max velocity, then you're going to hold crouch, and then you're going to jump. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like. Sprint, crouch, jump. And basically this is the fastest way to move around the map. That's why you see a lot of pro players crouch sliding all the time. It does give you a slight movement increase, and it also makes you slightly harder to hit, so it's super useful to use. Moving on to something a bit more complicated. So now I'm going to show you guys how to wall jump. Alright, so this one's pretty easy as well. All we're going to do is we're going to combine a crouch slide with a wall jump. So in order to hit a wall jump, once you hit the wall for a certain amount of time, you're going to jump off it. Alright, by pressing spacebar or whatever your jump key is. I have my jump key bound to spacebar and mouse wheel down, but it's ultimately personal preference. Alright, so here we go. We're going to combine the crouch slide into the wall jump. Just like that, it's pretty easy to do. If you want as well, you can add a movement key to it, like A or D. And that'll give you just like a bit of directional movement. Wall jumps are just super useful in general to kind of throw off your opponents. Hitting a wall jump into an enemy is super useful. It throws them off extremely well, and it's just an awesome movement tech all around. Alright, so now we're moving on to tap strafing. As you might have heard, there's been a lot of controversy around tap strafing and that movement mechanic. It is extremely useful and unfortunately only available to M and K users. So I'm going to show you guys what you need to do in order to enable tap strafing. Alright, so you just go to your settings, you go to mouse and keyboard, and then under move forward for the second key, you just use mouse wheel up. And so when you scroll forward now, you'll go slightly forward a little bit. So now when you do a crouch slide and then you hold D or A and then scroll, you'll be able to turn and then go into whatever direction you want basically. It basically allows you to keep your momentum when turning, which is extremely useful in Apex when you want to chain together multiple movement techniques. Here is an example of me using a crouch slide and a tap strafe. As you can see, I can basically do a 180 and not lose any of my momentum whatsoever from the crouch slide. It is extremely useful. You can throw off your opponents and do some really cool movement techniques with it, like combining it with a wall jump just like this. I found that going into pub games and spamming tap strafing as much as you can in any single fight or even just turning any corner will help you to master the movement technique. If you haven't learned tap strafing already, I highly recommend jumping into the range for 10-15 minutes and just absolutely learning this technique. It is so useful if you're on M&K. It is one of the most useful movement techniques in the game right now, so I highly recommend checking it out. Alright, so now we're moving on to super gliding, which is probably one of my favorite movement techniques in the game. For those of you who don't know, super gliding is a huge boost in momentum after a climb animation. So these are some examples of super gliding. As you can see, it's absolutely insane, the movement that you get. And if you combine it with tap strafing, it is absolutely deadly. It is amazing. All right, so basically to hit a super glide, all you need to do is hit a normal climb, right? And then at the peak of your climb animation, when you're just about to finish, you want to hit a crouch and a jump at the same time. You want to press a crouch and a jump at the same time. I highly recommend looking at the corners of your screen for the screen shake. to kind of gauge when the animation is ending for the climb. As you can see, if you look at the top corners of the screen, you'll see the screen shake. Roughly at the end of the screen shake is when you want to hit the crouch and the jump at the same time. So I'll show you guys a quick example real quick. See, that time I didn't get it. That one was a bit better because you can see once you get the momentum and you're holding forward and you're doing it correctly, you'll see like you'll start to go further just by pressing the crouch and the jump at the same time like I did there. So that means you're on the right track to getting it. And then obviously there I did a super glide and a tap strafe. So yeah, basically it's going to take a lot of practice. You know that you're doing it right if you're getting a small amount of momentum and you're going quite far. That means you're doing it right, and all you need to do is just keep practicing. It is potentially one of the hardest movement mechanics in the game, so it will take a long time to learn. And then once you do learn it in the range, you can start to implement it in game and just practice it over and over again. Once you add tap strafing to it, you know, it's kind of game over. It's absolutely GG for anyone that's trying to shoot you. So yeah, make sure you definitely try and learn this movement tech, but don't get frustrated if it takes a while because it is really, really hard. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys the rash strafe. This one's quite complex, but it's super useful. Alright, so basically what you want to do is you want to jump to the side and hold A. And once you get into the habit of doing that, then you want to combine it with S and D. So it's going to look something like this. Alright, so now once you do that, you want to add in a W key press as well. So you're going to basically be jumping, pressing A, S, D, and then W. It's going to look like this. And this is just absolutely deadly if you use it with a hip fire. So it'll look something like this. For the most part, you'll see only the best mechanical players use this. There's a lot of Korean players that are really good at using this, and they just implement it into all their games. It is an extremely, extremely good movement mechanic, and I highly recommend anyone to practice in the range and try and pick it up as best as they can. You can also do it the other way as well, and straightforward, but yeah, it's easier to learn the way I showed, I think.